Hey everyone, thanks for checking in. This is Michel Braun with the Braun Realty Group, and this is our market update video for the month of September, October 2021. So the market update is going to be kind of quick because the market really hasn't changed that much in the last month. It's still a very hot market for sellers, still not enough inventory. I'll just give you a few numbers that will give you a general idea of where the market is at. So first of all, the mortgage rates as of the end of September were still remarkably low, around 2.88%, 2.9%. So very attractive for buyers. More than 60% of transactions that have closed thus far through the end of September have closed above asking price, but that's a little bit down from a peak of more than 70% of properties that were selling over asking back in June. And then last number that I'll give you, Los Angeles County 2020 versus 2021. For the month of August, the median price rose by 13.4% to $785,000, while sales climbed 14.3%. Experts still predict that home values towards the end of 2021 will be up by 19.9% in December versus 2020. So pretty much a 20% increase in prices for LA County. That's huge. So now let's just switch over to a different subject matter, which is how buyers can get their offers accepted right now in this very challenging markets. We have very low inventory, a lot of buyers want to buy homes, and offers have to be extremely competitive. So I just wanted to give you a few things that you can do when you're making an offer on a property. First of all, first and foremost, and I've said it almost in every one of my videos, you gotta get pre-approved before starting your search for a home. You gotta talk to a mortgage broker or a lender. Personally, I like my clients to work with mortgage brokers. I think they do a better job at preparing your file for the lender. You get pretty much the same rates. They all have access to great lenders. Get pre-approved. You'll know exactly what your budget will be, how much you can afford for a house, how much you can't afford. It'll really give you a clear idea. Now, keep in mind that when we send offers for clients, we have to send a purchase offer, we have to send a pre-approval letter, and we have to send proof of funds for the down payment and closing costs. Without these three things, offers will not be considered. Now, are you allowed to send them without them? Of course you can, but it would pretty much be useless. So you need to have that pre-approval letter from a reliable and experienced lender or mortgage broker before we can send an offer. So make sure you have all your bank statements ready. We don't like to have like some fuzzy photos that you took with your cell phone. Go on your bank account, download a PDF version of your bank statement or bank statements, whatever you're going to use for your down payment. By the way, in terms of down payments, if you're going to be getting some help from your family, maybe your parents are going to give you some money for the down payment, that's fine. Banks are okay with that. They're just going to need a gift letter from the parents showing that this is not going to be a loan in addition to your loan to purchase the property. And what I recommend is for your relatives to actually transfer that money onto your account early on so that you don't have to wait for it or tell the listing agent, oh yeah, don't worry about it, my parents are going to give me money. In this type of climate, in this type of market, we can afford that. So you just have to talk to your family and say, hey, I'm going to buy a house. If you're going to lend me $100,000, $200,000, whatever that might be, can you please transfer it to my account, have that gift letter ready, and I'll be ready to go. Now, when you're preparing an offer with your realtor, there's a few things that the realtor can do to advise you to make your offer more attractive. First of all, I'm not going to get into a whole contingency process of purchase offers. That will be for a different video. But one of the ways you can get out of an escrow, out of a transaction, is with your appraisal contingency. The bank is going to ask for an appraisal of the house that you're buying, and they're going to ask, is this house that you're buying worth the same amount that you're paying for it? If the appraiser comes out lower, there's going to be a gap between the appraised value and the price that you have agreed to pay. If you have a lot of down payment money, 20%, 25, 30, 40%, the bank's not going to care, especially anything above 20%. But if you don't, they're going to ask you to come up with the difference. If you can't do it, you can cancel. But if you can, you're going to be able to go forward with the deal. So if you remove that appraisal contingency up front and the listing agent sees that offer without an appraisal contingency, your offer will be a lot more attractive for the sellers. Now, the only way you can do that is if you are what we call cash rich. If you do have that money on your bank account that will allow you to make up for that difference. Whatever you do, in any case, before you make any financial decisions regarding your loan, you need to talk to your mortgage broker. The mortgage broker is the one who will tell you what you can do and what you cannot do. But that's one option, is to remove your appraisal contingency. There are other contingencies, and I'm not going to get into that right now, but there are other ways you can also make your offer attractive. The other way, actually, I stand corrected, the other way you can also do that is to reduce your inspection contingency. Again, inspection contingency is another way you can cancel a transaction. You have X amount of days to inspect the house or the condo. You have the same amount of days to review all the disclosures from the seller. If you reduce that amount of time that the seller is going to be quote unquote stuck with you, right? Because while you have this contingency, they have to be patient and wait for you to tell them what you want to do. If you reduce that amount of time, instead of asking for 2 weeks, maybe you're only going to ask for 10 days or 8 days, the shorter that contingency period is, the more attractive your offer is going to be. So again, talk to your realtor about that. Don't make that decision right up front. You need to know exactly, depending on each situation will be different. Another way also that you can make your offer more attractive is by paying some of the costs that are normally paid by the seller. Now, when I say normally, remember that everything is negotiable in real estate. So, but some of those costs are usually paid by the seller, such as the city and county transfer tax. When you sell a home, there's taxes to be paid. Normally, the seller pays for it. You can offer to pay for it. There are other costs such as mandatory retrofitting, like making sure that your property has smoke detectors and earthquake shut-off valve for us here in Los Angeles. Normally, the seller pays for that. You can offer to pay for it. Of course, the seller and the buyer have escrow fees. There's an escrow company. They need to be paid. Normally, the seller pays for their own escrow fees. You can offer to pay for that as well. There are other fees involved. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but you can talk to your agent and say, hey, maybe we can offer to pay for these costs. Now, personally, what I recommend is not to offer to pay for that in your first offer because it'll get lost in the shuffle once you get a counter offer. I usually suggest to offer this in the second round when you send a counter offer, so that maybe you can have a little extra argument versus all the other buyers. Maybe you can offer to pay for their city and county transfer tax. That will make an impression. If you offer it in the original offer, they might forget about it, that you had offered that in the first place. So there's many other ways that an experienced agent can help you getting your offer accepted. Of course, every situation is different. You should talk to your mortgage broker. You should talk to your realtor. Eventually, you may want to talk to your attorney as well about the contract itself. There's many people that can advise you when you're buying a real estate property. If you have any questions regarding your specific situation, as always, feel free to give me a call, send me a text message. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Until then, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.